Hi, thanks for joining us today for the Accelerating Answers, how AugerX leveraged Luminex technology to advance patient care. I'm Steph Ibbotson, the Senior Director of Market Access for DiaSorin, and I'm joined by Bridget Parsons, who is the Senior Manager for Market Access at DiaSorin. And Sim, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and AugerX and what you guys are working on.
Great. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Simran Chahal, and I'm currently, in my capacity, the SVP of Commercial Operations at AugerX. AugerX Life Sciences is a rheumatology-driven biomarker company. We have been around for, actually, it's been since 2013, we commercialized our first diagnostic in rheumatoid arthritis. And we've primarily focused on autoimmune. Our biomarker portfolio stems from the 14-3-3 biology. And what that has given us is several diagnostic modalities that we have been since able to create multiple assays from. And now we're on our second product, which is called SpineStat. And here at ADLM, it was recognized as a disruptive tech, which I was fortunate enough to be one of the top 3 finalists. And sadly, we did not win, but the feedback I got was that we're too commercial already. And so the organization that did win was also quite exciting. They had a point-of-care microfluidic device, like a Theranos type of testing. So I get the excitement behind that.
Almost the best of both worlds, to be excited is innovative, and then, you can't win because you've been too successful.
Yeah, I know, but I got a stage and a platform to bring a lot of visibility to AugerX and SpineStat and why this technology is truly disruptive, because it is designed to help reduce this diagnostic delay for these patients. So if I explain a little bit more about what SpineStat does, we measure the autoantibodies to 14-3-3 and there's 5 specific autoantibodies that we're multiplexing. And what is exciting about this product is that we're able to distinguish axial spondyloarthritis, that is a very big word, so I'm going to say AxSpa from now on, from mechanical back pain. And when we look at just the US population, it's over 72 million US adults live with chronic low back pain. And the biggest challenge is identifying which ones are mechanical versus an autoimmune inflammatory disease. And SpineStat enables that. So today, the patient journey is 10 years. They get bounced around from various healthcare providers, chiropractors, massage therapists, lots of treatment. And while this journey is ensuing, their spine is fusing and creating new bone deformities, and it just creates irreversible damage. If we are able to shorten this 10-year diagnostic delay to 2 to 3 years, these patients live pretty healthy lives. And they may or may not ever need to be on a biologic. They can be treated by first-line treatment like NSAIDs. So SpineStat was designed to reduce that diagnostic delay. We're able to differentiate between mechanical back pain and an autoimmune inflammatory disease, and it's really exciting. And on top of that, the FDA gave us breakthrough device designation. So this is where, where the pedal hits the metal. So we're working feverishly to make sure our regulatory strategy is aligned, getting this product to market in time. And, we're busy. We're a small team. We're a team of 12 people based out of Canada, so Canadian technology, which we're quite excited about. But we can't wait to launch it because it's going to change the lives of these patients.
So it sounds like in your work, there's a significant care gap currently. So when you bring SpineStat to market, will it be one of a kind?
Absolutely. It's actually a first-in-class biomarker. If we look at today's tools that are available to clinicians and even laboratorians, the standard of care is HLA-B27, which is a genetic marker. So it flags genetic risk, but it's not diagnostic. And then the other tool that physicians have is CRP. And CRP, as we all know, is a bit of a catch-all, non-specific inflammatory test. So it doesn't give you, it's not disease-specific. SpineStat is. And we're not looking to replace what's existing out there. Our data shows that when you actually combine SpineStat with B27 and CRP, we are able to capture up to 90% of those patients, those diagnoses. So it is like game-changing.
That's wonderful. So let's talk about what led you to building this second generation and how you chose the technology behind it. What was the driving force?
Yeah, that's a great question. We initially discovered the autoantibodies serendipitously. It was actually, we thought it would be in rheumatoid arthritis, in early RA, and we do see a signal in early RA. However, one of our disease controls that was included as part of that early work was axial spondylitis patients. And we saw a blip for some reason in one of these disease controls, and our scientific team, the curious minds that they are, went down this rabbit hole to see why is SpineStat or axial spondylitis patients lighting up for this RA biomarker that we're developing. And it was just a serendipitous discovery, and we were able to identify a subset of peptides that were highly specific for this condition. And the early work that we had when we discovered this was done on the Mesoscale Discovery platform. So as we all know, it's a great research platform. However, there's inherent challenges on developing a commercial product. It's quite expensive to paint those plates, if you will. There's reproducibility challenges, dynamic range challenges, and it's just not it limits its use as a widely accessible product. So we thought long and hard is we need to multiplex this assay. How do we do it? What instrumentation would potentially allow us the flexibility? And more importantly, will our customers adopt that? And as we started to do a bit of our customer journey and understanding from major labs like LabCorp and Quest and Mayo, what infrastructure their preference would be, and Luminex platform came up several times. And I've had a lot of experience with the Luminex platform in my past life, working at Zeus Scientific and having installed a lot of Luminexes across the country in Canada and training people on ANA testing. So I thought, you know what, this is actually a wonderful platform. It is, especially at the scale that we want it to be at the moment in time. It allows us the flexibility. Our R&D teams can flex on it. The labs enjoy this platform, so we chose this platform. And it was after looking at several other platforms as well, this one was the one that our team saw best fit. And when we did some of our feasibility on the Luminex platform, it lit up like a storm. So we were very happy. And we pursued the development on the Luminex.
Great. And one thing for listeners who may not be aware of why we're talking about AugerX and Luminex within a DiaSorin podcast, Luminex is a division of DiaSorin, and we offer licensed technologies to companies like AugerX that are looking to multiplex and would like to partner. And when companies come to Luminex, I think they come in thinking they're going to get an instrument and beads, but we pride ourselves on being able to support in other ways. And that's actually how we met Sim last year at ADLM in this very show to talk about the product. And then it's quite interesting that you went from not being commercial last year to not winning an award because you were too commercial in a 12-month period. And that's incredible. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that unfolded and how you got from essentially no commercial to where you are today?
Yeah, so what we have been really focused on was generating data, because we know as much as we can publish out there, work with our key opinion leaders, and in the near term also, or in parallel, building out our FDA filing. And it all kind of came to fruition in October last year, where we had oral presentations at ACR that put this platform in front of the clinicians. World-leading rheumatologists were starting to speak about it. And that's been really the rolling ball down the hill after that. Shortly after, the FDA gave us breakthrough device designation. So everything just started from generating a small amount of data, and to a point where once we received the FDA breakthrough device designation, these clinicians started to throw their cohorts at us to continue generating more data. And really that's what it was. While in the background, we were finishing the optimization work on the assay, getting it manufacturing ready, looking at multiple lots, is it reproducible? And our team has been burning the midnight oil to make sure that we can get this product across the finish line, hopefully by September. So our goal is that it will be available as a laboratory developed test initially while we do our FDA path in parallel to our US reference labs starting in September.
That's wonderful. And you've said this twice now in a very blasé manner, so I want to bring it up and make sure that everybody understands. FDA breakthrough device classification is huge from Bridget and I's standpoint on the market access side. That is a game changer, especially for a smaller company who's coming out, and a Canadian company also, coming to market with a novel use of instruments that have been on the market, or systems have been on the market for a while, and you guys have found an innovative way to use it, so much so that the FDA has valued that. That's incredible.
Absolutely, and it's funny that you say it's in blasé. I guess it's because we've repeated it so many times that it becomes a fact. But you're right; it is such an important milestone for us to achieve that, because it's not easy. And we actually had to do it 2 times. The first time we didn't have enough data, and the FDA gave us a lot of feedback. We took that feedback very seriously, went back to the drawing board, expanded the cohorts. They wanted us to test the most relevant clinical comparator for this disease, which was mechanical back pain. And those samples were not easy to get our hands on, right? It's just difficult. Like, who do you go to get mechanical back pain samples? And we were fortunate that some of our rheumatologists who are more translational and academic focused, they had cohorts of mechanical back pain samples. And once we showed the FDA that, hello FDA, not just healthy controls, we actually can differentiate, we got the breakthrough after that. So the rest is like, now, that the proof is in the pudding. So now we just continue to validate, revalidate that data, and just make sure that performance is tight.
Great. So let's talk about the collaboration between AugerX and Luminex. What was that like for you?
It's been very positive. Every single team member that we have dealt with at Luminex, I think initially it was finding out, where can we get this instrument? And how do we get this instrument in? Because this is the instrument we want to do our work with. And fortunately, I've been in this industry for almost 20 years, so I've made some fantastic friends and colleagues and connections across Luminex, DiaSorin, other organizations as well. And we got introduced to Josh Jenkins, and he is absolutely has been fabulous he's been on this journey with us from day one, from not only getting us this instrument. We had some issues with the first instrument that we did bring in, and he very quickly replaced that for us. And so the team has been taking it quite seriously, and they've been holding our hand along this path, not only technically having folks come in and train our team on the platform, spend a week with us. Whenever we have some technical questions, we can pick up the phone. The Luminex team has been, I can't even thank them enough for how much support they've given us.
That's great to hear. And it's not easy going from an idea to an innovation, right? And so it really takes that ability to do the work, and you guys are focused on your assay. So we're happy to help on the instrument side. But I think also one of the things that we're happy to do, and Bridget and I, this is our favorite thing to do, I would say, is a small company like yours who doesn't have a market access resource. We like to be there to be able to talk through the issues, because I think everybody knows reimbursement's important. And it's scary. To most people. And we're happy to sit down and talk with teams like yours. And this is actually what we did at this conference last year. And we're like, okay, these are the steps. This is how you can do it. Did that help you on the journey?
Absolutely. I have to tell you, as part of my disruptive tech presentation, one of the slides was the strategy that the 3 of us worked on together. It helps de-risk the commercialization, because the first question we always get is, who is going to pay for this, and who is getting reimbursed for it? And we're fortunate to have, the pathway seems simple, but of course it's quite complex because there's a lot of data and evidence that goes behind in generating the package, not only to support what the payers need from clinical evidence and the economic evidence that we have to provide, but initially as we think about launching this as a laboratory developed test, is there an existing coding pathway that we can leverage to get this, initially adopted while we think through what crosswalk and gap fill strategies can help bridge us to more sustainable reimbursement downstream. So the strategy sessions that we had, the data that your team pulled for us, that both of you worked on with us was, it was fantastic because that's exactly what we needed to provide to our reference labs who also feel comfort knowing that, okay, there will be some reimbursement. The team has thought through what the longer term plan is, and we're debating, is it a category 1, CPT MAAA code, because there is an algorithm behind it. And so that work is now going to, I think, really take off as we initially launch this as a laboratory developed test.
Yeah, you're right. It's so hard, and it's so reassuring for people to know that you've thought about it, especially with an actually novel technology, and they know there's likely not an existing coding pathway. There's not just an easy code to throw at it. Like, what's the short-term plan? Because getting a code could take many years, right? Are we just not going to get anything in those in that interim? And you having done that work already, I'm sure gives them a ton of confidence, and you as a partner, and just as innovative as you all are.
Absolutely, and we can have the best product, but if we don't work on these strategic pillars like reimbursement, regulatory, the clinical validation, along with launching it, it can fail. And one of the questions, actually it wasn't even a question, it was a comment from one of the expert judges that were reviewing the finalist disruptive tech presentations, and I was on stage. She said to me, she was like, "You've said everything that is close to my heart in terms," because she was a reimbursement market access expert. I can see that you've thought through it, and deep down I was like, thank you to the DiaSorin team who has helped us bring this here.
So many that come in front of them probably have not even considered
Yeah.
or begun to consider it, and they're about to launch. And
Yeah.
it's like, what now? We have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think one thing with you guys that maybe is novel, and it's not something you would get credit for in a breakthrough thing, is that when you came to us, your evidence generation plan was already geared towards what we would need for payers, right? So you didn't just focus on regulatory from the outset. You always had in mind that you needed the data for bigger things. Well, not bigger things, but different things. And I think smaller companies don't always understand that, and that FDA clearance or approval is 100% the goal, and we're going to do everything there, and then they have to start fresh again for the reimbursement studies. You guys weren't there. You had already started to integrate them, and you deserve a lot of credit for that.
Thank you. And our health economics and outcomes research study is, I would say, midway. And I was able to present some of that preliminary data during the disruptive tech presentation. And what was so illuminating that we believe will help our payer dossier, if you will, and that just to get them to also think about how this is going to save the healthcare system in so many different ways. So what we see when we modeled SpineStat into the current clinical pathway, the 1 in 7 referral going into rheumatology, meaning today, for every 7 patients that rheumatologists see, only 1 of them is the right AxSpa patient. The other 6 are mechanical back pains, and they're bogging up the rheumatology office because even though their symptoms are identical, their clinical pathways are so different. And when SpineStat was modeled into it, what we were able to show was that referral changes to 1 in 3. And so for every 3 patients, 1 is and the rheumatologists are happy about that because they're like, oh, you can do that with this product? And then when you model in also the time to diagnosis, that 9-year diagnostic delay gets reduced to 2 to 3 years, which is ideal because we want to find these patients early. So more to come on the health economic side, and even the cost associated with it, compounded over 5, 7, 9 years, it becomes quite large. So we're working through the details of actually now creating some publications around that, and as we know, we need to have some manuscripts out there to support the payer dossier.
Yeah.
So
That'll
that
be
is
huge.
what we're
I mean, you talk about
actively-
right
yeah.
test for the right patient. You're putting the right patient on the right trajectory, you know, like that's incredibly impactful.
Definitely. So as we wrap this up, what would you tell a company that is like where you were when you started to look at your second phase? What would you tell them about how to choose technology or what it's like working with Luminex? Is there any guidance and help you want to give to the next breakthrough
Next
device?
Canadian company trying to
Also,
navigate
it
the
doesn't
US
have to be
market.
Canadian. I mean, there are 2 Canadians here, so it's helpful if
Bias.
it is. But if it's an American company or European, okay, fine.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah. You know, and this is going to sound so cliche. It would just be don't give up. We had a lot of, you know, if we had one step forward, it was 20 steps backwards. And a lot of that transpired over, I would say, the last 2, maybe 3 years, where you feel a little, you just want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it took us a long while to get there. We scoured the earth on what multiplex platforms are out there, what is more commercially available. And internally, we're, you know, as scientific teams are, we're very analytical with every decision we make. So it was creating all sorts of spreadsheets and scoring systems on the different platforms that existed. And Luminex, you know, for us was the one that was the right fit. And we looked at several others, but they were just not for us at that time or at this time. You know, there's a lot of, not only from the discovery, but having your plans outlined in terms of what is the end goal here. I think what the question we asked was, what is this indication going to be? And are we really fulfilling an unmet need here? And those were very key questions at the center of everything that we did. So we would anchor the product accordingly. And then the studies would then kind of unfold from that. So I think right out the outside is, no, what is this product going to do? Is this even an unmet need for it? And will clinicians use it? And we gathered clinical support right out the outset. I think that was one thing that was very important, was we needed buy-in from some leading experts around this product and its clinical use case. And they have been with us on this journey since day one, not only guiding the clinical development plan, but providing us with well-characterized samples to help achieve that goal. So a lot goes into it. And you know, it's a bit of a matrix of activities. And I feel like I'm probably leaving out 100 more things that we thought about. But the main ones are having the right experts with you, the right partners with you along the way. And then just really, you know, you kind of just throw all your eggs into that basket and you go. From there, yeah.
No, I think that's great advice for people who are starting on the journey, because it can be intimidating, but as you can see, it can work.
Yeah. We are one of those cases. It worked, and we're so excited to be able to bring this to the market.
And we're so excited to see it as well. We're always happy to see a care gap close, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially such a critical one. It's chronic back pain. I think everybody thinks in their life at some point in time, we have chronic back pain. So just putting the patient on the right path and reducing that diagnostic delay, that's the mission that we're after.
That's awesome, and what a mission to have. But Sim, it has been such a pleasure working with you. It's been such a pleasure sitting here doing this with you and talking about the incredible work you're doing. So thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. I'm so privileged to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Anytime. We'll be back here next year, and you guys will have won a Nobel Prize or something. Like,
I'll be talking again.
I mean, with your
about
trajectory as
success.
it is.
That would be great, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you again.